Alright, this is the Yasuo jungle tier list. And keep in mind, a lot of things are still being worked out, and I don't really have all the information I would want to, which is why for this tier iteration, I am doing a style similar to Fox Drops, where it's a tier plus two brackets in that tier. So you'll see things like tier 1A, tier 1B, and it's just to deviate which champions are either better than the other ones in the same tier or more accurately used in this tier list several times, which champions have a slightly better counterpart in the same tier. So you will see feel that like, oh, this champion is tier one, and then there's another champion that's very similar to it, but this one is strictly better, so this one gets into A and this one gets into B. That's just kind of how I'm using it. I'm not saying that all these in B are suck so much or compared to the others. Is that they just slightly worse than them and therefore their counterpart up there. And anyways, it's important to note what aspects are being looked at right now in the jungle. Right now, any jungler that can power farm is pretty much favored. Like if you can clear the jungle really fast without getting your ass killed and sort of gank, then you're doing fine. So aspects such as sustain, clear speed, and moderate ganking are being looked at. Think of junglers like Vi. She's excelling right now. Her clear speed is great. She can move between camps like a boss with her Q. Her passive allows her to her passive pretty much allows her to shrug off a lot of the damage she's going to be dealt by from the jungle, and she pretty much just melts camps quick enough before they deal damage to her anyways. So that small shield is actually enough defense against jungle monster damage. And once she reaches level 6, she just pile drivers anybody into dust. She's the perfect example of what you need in the jungle right now: a balance between good speed, good sustain in clearing, and guaranteed ganks. Right now, that's what champions like Lee Sin, Elise, and Vi are excelling. Then you've got your junglers who pretty much take one of those aspects and then just excel on that beyond all redemption, like or reckoning. Shyvana is one of them. She just power farms the jungle. She just melts the camps. She can actually keep all four camps on respawn and then still run around in a circle somewhere doing something. So she can actually contribute to the team in some way while her camps are respawning. And what I mean by that is this: yes, her ganking is piss poor. Like we cannot there's no doubting her ganking isn't the greatest thing ever. She's got high damage, but she's got difficulty dealing that damage because she doesn't have crowd control. So if her teammates have crowd control, then her ganking could actually be good, which the teammates will usually have crowd control, but we're not really giving her much credit here because of that. Anyways, she can clear fast enough, take all the camps in her side of the jungle, and she can either choose to invade the enemy jungle to take their farm or go attempt a gank, even if her ganking isn't as great, because there's nothing else for her to be doing right now at that moment. So she gets a huge steady amount of gold, enough gold that it makes up for the advantage that Dr. Mundo used to have against her. And this is what I want to bring up. Shyvana and Dr. Mundo are two champions that I'm still contesting over the positions. Either Dr. Mundo will be in tier 1A and Shyvana in tier 1B, or Dr. Mundo will stay where he is right now in tier 1B. They're very similar to each other. They have smaller advantages, and they keep trading power spikes over and over between the whole the game. Dr. Mundo is very strong early, and so is Shyvana, but they're strong for different reasons. Dr. Mundo has negative sustain. Shyvana has bad sustain, though the new machete really helps it out and really helps Shyvana a lot more than it does Dr. Mundo, so she gets the edge there. Late game, Shyvana has more damage, Dr. Mundo has less kite ability, and he just outright has, more. If they can't burst him down, he's just fucking gonna run right through and pile driver the enemy carry. So you gotta idealize, or I guess picture what you need in your team, and then between those two choices is the one you'll take. Though honestly, I've seen them more in top lane, and they've been doing far better top lane. They still have weaknesses as junglers, such as mediocre ganking, though Dr. Mundo has better ganking, and some problems to sustain, but they're fast. They farm well, and that's kind of what you need right now in the jungle. Anyways, moving on. Moving on from that. Uh, Most junglers right now, I mean, I can't really talk about it. Everything you probably should just read in the tier list in the region below. Most junglers right now that are not excelling are those who just can't power farm. Trundle, for all his greatness of and other aspects, isn't that fast of a jungler. And invasion got nerfed, so invaders aren't exactly thriving right now. Junglers like Nunu, Trundle, and Shaco are kind of shaky as to what they should be doing. Fiddlesticks, though, he actually got better thanks to the fact that no one's going to invade. Nautilus as well. Slow junglers like Nautilus actually benefited immensely from the changes to the new smite. Because if they're slow enough, they'll have a smite every one or every other camp or every other camp. So he'll be able to have a smite for, since he's so fucking slow, for pretty much every camp he goes. You could start blue and smite it, then you'll have your smite for the white camp, and then you'll have your smite for wraiths or your red, depending on whatever you want to do. And it gives you an artificial speed boost, and it keeps you on par with a lot of other junglers. If it wasn't for his shitty mobility, he'd probably be, as fast as someone like Vi. He clears really quickly. He just moves really slow. But yeah, he's one of the champions that definitely benefited from this. A lot of junglers, slow tanky junglers benefited from this. Rammus is one. His clear speed has always been bad, but the new smite helps make up for how slow he is at clearing. And his power ball helps him get between camps. So also Zach, but he's not exactly a slow one now, is he? Now, a point I want to try to get across is that a lot of junglers simply did not change. Like, they didn't get any better and they didn't get any worse. They're still just kind of the same as they were in Season 3. A lot of them are like Volibear, Xin Zhao, and them. They're just kind of the same. They're still good. It's like, I mean, a lot of Season 3 junglers who were good are still good now. Only some got slightly better, or some of their aspects are now more important. Like, Dr. Mundo, he didn't change a lot too much. The masteries changed, which definitely benefited him. His jungle fundamentals are essentially still the same, but right now speed farming, having a really fat bruiser that can pile driver the enemy carry by going straight through everybody is kind of a big deal right now, and he fulfills it. So that's why he's gone up. Tier 2, where a lot of junglers are, a lot of people's favorite junglers are, means that these junglers are just, champions who are probably very good at the jungle, some of them being amazing, and some of them having probably better jungle aspect stats than Tier 1 junglers, but whatever they bring to the game isn't exactly being favored right now. So being a Tier 2 is not a bad thing. It's like, oh, right now, they're not picking us for the reindeer games or whatever, something like that. That said, another point that I want to try to get across is people are asking why, or people are going to ask, I'm sure, why is Wukong not high or Riven not high? Well, here's the thing, is I've noticed, I know people have been picking Wukong in the jungle, and I know they've picked Riven in the jungle for tournaments and stuff. Here's the thing. There are strong picks. Riven's a stupid champion for starters, and Wukong right now is pretty goddamn crazy in team fights, but they suffer in several key aspects of the jungle. Noticeably, Wukong just having no sustain, not being exactly the fastest thing out there, and he not having any crowd control before level 6, along with the other host of issues. The thing is, he's always been an average jungler who actually had the ability to initiate really damn well. The thing is, you can be a jungler, you can be a competent jungler, or you cannot be the best jungler out there. You can be an average one, but you can be a really great pick at the time. You can have a jungler who's amazing, like he's a super sustained, he can't lose duels, he whatever, but he might not be the best pick, therefore he's never picked. It's like being a good jungler doesn't dictate you'll be picked, and being a bad jungler or an average jungler doesn't mean you won't get picked. Think of Cho'Gath or Trundle. They are amazing junglers. They've always been very good junglers. However, there's been a lot of times, and especially Trundle, where there's no reason to pick them. In fact, they'd be terrible picks, despite the fact that they're amazing junglers. And then there have been junglers who've been mediocre picks, mediocre junglers, or average, or just slightly above the others. But you would pick them simply because they're amazing champions when it comes to team fights or to whatever your team needs. This is a point I'm trying to drive across here. Wukong is not a good jungler, but he can be a very good pick, and in a lot of cases, a very good jungle pick. I mean, not jungle pick. Yeah, well, yeah, jungle carry pick. There we go. That's what I meant to say. Uh, I Everybody knows I played a lot of Darius. As a jungler, when I played him, he's pretty bad. However, his carry potential is insane. He was pretty stupid when you got snowballing on whatever. And a lot of players would pick junglers like that. Like, I'm surprised I get this question a lot. Like, Stonewall, why'd you pick Malphite? I'm like, oh, Malphite may be an average to above average jungler with nothing really interesting going on, but it counters the enemy team that I'm currently fighting, such as having, his E shredding their attack speed to hell, that kind of stuff. So that's why I pick him. You pick a average jungler, a mundane jungler, because he brings something to the table that is needed. And that's the point I'm trying to drive across right now. Wukong and Riven, I know they've been getting a lot of hype as jungler. Well, actually, more Wukong has been getting a lot of hype as a jungler. But there's nothing redeeming about him that much as a jungler, aside from his slight stealth and his ability to initiate. It's his carry potential that is more being sought after, and not exactly his jungling. So that's why he's in Tier 3. Tier 3 is more for focused champions or situational champions. When you pick Wukong, you're not picking him because, oh my god, he clears so fast, or oh my god, his ganks are amazing, or something like that. You're picking him because you want a team fight, and you can't put him in a lane, or you'd rather not put him in a lane, or for whatever reason. So that's the Yasuo tier list. I would recommend you rather read the things, because there's a lot of things to read, which I couldn't narrate. Just keep in mind, right now, junglers that farm fast are sustained in some way, and then can probably get a good gank in at some point, after clearing, are excelling right now. And also objective control, I guess, but that's important too. Always been important regardless.